They were married for 9 years and led a happy life until the husband took to alcohol and turned into a monster. He regularly pestered his wife for money and tortured her physically when she refused to shell out money. Now, during one such quarrel recently at her residence, the husband ended up doing the unthinkable. Who was the woman who met a gory end? Why was she killed? Here is a shocking story from Kamakshi Palya and Bengaluru in this News 9 crime special.
April 13th, 2014. Kamakshi Palya, Bengaluru. It was on this fateful day that the residents of Kamakshi Palya were in for a shocker. It was in the early hours of the morning when one of the residents of the locality went to one Meenakshi's house as usual to speak to her. The woman knocked on the door of Meenakshi's residence. She was surprised when she came to know that the door was already open. The woman entered the house to see what had happened, but she was shocked out of her wits when she found Meenakshi murdered. Meenakshi was found brutally murdered at her own residence in Kamakshi Palya. The woman screamed aloud as she had not come across such a gory murder in the locality. Panicking, the woman immediately alerted the Kamakshi Palya police about the incident. The cops rushed to the spot and began investigations. They first collected all the information about Meenakshi and inquired with her neighbors about her family background. They learnt Meenakshi's brother Dilaksh worked as an ambulance driver in Bengaluru. The news was then passed on to Dilaksh. He was shocked and rushed to the spot. When the cops inquired with the neighbors, they learnt that Meenakshi had visited one of her neighbors the previous night. The neighbors also told the cops that Meenakshi had come home to borrow a screwdriver from her. Later, some miscreants had barged into Meenakshi's house, smothered her, strangled her, and brutally murdered her. The cops registered a case of murder and a team was formed to investigate the case. The team came to know that Meenakshi stayed alone at her residence and worked at a garments factory nearby. Investigations also revealed that the neighbors had spotted a man entering her residence on that fateful night. On inquiring, the cops came to know that the man who entered Meenakshi's house was Vishwanath. Vishwanath was none other than Meenakshi's husband. The cops traced his mobile phone and came to know that he was at Alur in Hassan. The team went to Hassan and nabbed him. He was brought to Bengaluru and subjected to intense interrogation. He revealed that he had killed his wife Meenakshi in a fit of rage. But why was a question that bothered the cops. Meenakshi, who hailed from Alur in Hassan, married Vishwanath 9 years ago. The couple led a happy life and was well settled in Alur. It was only recently that Vishwanath took to alcohol and would come home in an inebriated state often. After such incidents, differences grew between the couple. They regularly fought over petty issues, and this turned out to be a big headache for Meenakshi.
ಮದುವೆಯಾಗಿ 9 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಮದುವೆಯಾಗಿ 9 ವರ್ಷ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ನ ತಂಗಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಕಿತ್ತಾಡ್ಕೊಂತಿದ್ರು. ಕಿತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಮನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಿತ್ತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ವಾರ ಹಿಂದೆ ಕಿತ್ತಾಡಿ ಹೊಡೆದಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ವಾರ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೇಳಿದೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಥರ ಪ್ರೀ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನನ್ನ ತಂಗಿ ಕುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಇಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಕೇಳ್ದೆ ಊರಿಂದ ಹೊರಟೋಗ್ಯಾನೆ. ಅವನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಯಾನೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದ ಮನೆಯವರು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಈ ಥರ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಬೇಗ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ. ಅವಾಗ ಬಂದು ನೋಡೋತ್ತಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ತಂಗಿ ಸತ್ತು ಬಿದ್ದಿದ್ಲು. ಅವಾಗ ಕುತ್ತಿಗೆನಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲೇನೋ ದಾರ ಗಿರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತು ಪಿಲ್ಲೋ ಇತ್ತು. ಪಿಲ್ಲ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ದಾರ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ನೆಕ್ಕಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಟೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಾಯಿಸಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಇಬ್ಬರೇ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳೋರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದರೆ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದ ಮನೆಯವರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನೂ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ಬಂದು ನೋಡೋತ್ತಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಆಗಿದೆ.
She then decided to leave Alur and settle in Bengaluru. Here she struggled hard to make a living, but very soon got a job at a garments factory in Kamakshi Palya. She also rented a house in the same locality. All her happiness came to an end soon when Vishwanath came to Bengaluru in search of her. Meenakshi learnt about this and thought Vishwanath had changed. Little did she know that he had come to Bengaluru only to torture her for money.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ದಿವಸ ಬಂದಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನು. ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು 2-3-4 ತಿಂಗಳು ಬಂದಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು 8 ದಿವಸ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಇಬ್ಬರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದರು, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಜೊತೆಲೇ ಇದ್ದರು, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರು. ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಬಂದು ಹೋದರು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೊತೆಲೇ ಇದ್ದರು. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಹೋದವ್ರ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ. ನೆನ್ನೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಮನೆಯದು ಏನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಪಕ್ಕದ ಮನೇಲಿ ಇಸ್ಕೊಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದೇನೋ ಕೆಲಸ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಏನೋ ಕಿತ್ತಾಡಾಗಿದೆ ಅವಿಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ, ಏನು ವಯಸ್ಸಿಲ್ದಲೆ ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ ಪಕ್ಕದ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಕಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ಕೇಳೋಗೋದು ಬಂದಾಗ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಚಾರ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಿತ್ತಾಟ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ. ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಆ ಕೂಲಾಗಿ ಇದ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಇವಾಗ ಇಷ್ಟು ದಿವಸ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಮೊನ್ನೆ ದಿವಸ ಬಂದು ಅವ್ರು ನಿನ್ನೆ ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋದವರ ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದು ನಿನ್ನೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಆ ಥರ ಆಗೋಗಿತ್ತು. ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು? ಗಾರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ರು ಇಬ್ಬರು.
Vishwanath somehow found out Meenakshi's residence and regularly visited her. He lived at his friend's house in a nearby locality. Whenever he visited Meenakshi, he downed alcohol and came home in an inebriated state. Meenakshi, who questioned this, was punished every time. Vishwanath regularly demanded money from her and spent all of it on alcohol. Meenakshi decided that she would separate from her husband. On that fateful night, Vishwanath came home in an inebriated state as usual and demanded money from his wife. She refused to give him any money. Hence, Vishwanath tortured her physically with a screwdriver that Meenakshi had brought from her neighbor to repair the mixer. In a fit of rage, Vishwanath smothered her with a pillow and also strangled her to death. Soon after this, he fled from the spot with all the money she had and went to Alur. He remained there as if nothing had happened.
On 13/4/2014, a murder case was reported in Kamakshi Palya police station, in which one lady by name Meenakshi, aged around 30 years, she was murdered by strangulation. The main suspicion was on her husband Vishwanath. Both were married for the last 9 years and they had 2 children. It was from the neighbors we came to know that they were fighting with each other for some time, and Vishwanath was absconding after the body was found. On 15/4/2014, Vishwanath has been arrested by Kamakshi Palya police station and he has confessed to the murder. He has murdered his wife by strangulation. The reason being that his wife was continuously pressurizing him to leave Bangalore and go to Hassan, back to their hometown, whereas he wanted to stay in Bangalore. And even otherwise also, both of them used to continuously fight with each other. And on that day, in a fit of rage, the accused has strangulated his wife and murdered.
But the alert neighbors helped the cops trace Vishwanath's identity, and the cops accordingly laid a trap and nabbed him. He is now behind bars and has been remanded to judicial custody. Sunil and Uma Shankar Karya, News9, Bengaluru.
The people in Madikeri and Kodagu exercised their votes on the 17th of April and returned home to relax. But their peace of mind was ruined by a gruesome murder that took place at a village near Virajpet in Kodagu. A gang of two brutally hacked a man to death and fled from the spot in no time. What was more shocking was the fact that though some of the residents witnessed the act, they could not save the victim. So who was the man who met a gory end, and why? Let's find out.
The voting was peaceful in Madikeri and Virajpet assembly constituencies, which come under Mysore Lok Sabha constituency. While Madikeri recorded 73.84% voter turnout, Virajpet recorded 70%, thus registering a total voting percentage of 71.94. The voting was brisk in almost all polling booths in the morning, and in some booths, voters turned out in the afternoon. In Madikeri, the stores and complexes were closed and the city wore a deserted look. The voters have decided the fate of the 15 candidates, including H. Vishwanath of Congress, Pratap Simha of BJP and Chandrasekharaya of JDS. The counting is scheduled for May 16th at the Mysore District Centre. While the people exercised their votes and returned home peacefully, they were soon in for a shocker when they heard the news of a gruesome murder witnessed in Kodagu district. It was a broad daylight murder that took place at Parambadi in Virajpet Taluk. The shock wave spread across the locality and the people gradually feared to step out of their houses. Who was the man who met a gory end? And what exactly happened? This is an interesting story. April 17th, 2014. Parambadi, Virajpet Taluk, Kodagu district. It was on this fateful day that the residents of the locality spotted three men standing in front of a shop and indulged in a quarrel. The trio was well known to the people of the locality as they looked after a timber business in the locality. They were identified as 24-year-old Naushir, Pushpesh and Vinay. While Naushir spoke to Pushpesh and Vinay, the duo walked off after a while. The residents were shocked when they spotted Pushpesh and Vinay approaching Naushir armed with lethal weapons after a while.